Pace is dropped on Thursday Thoughts here on Soccer's Morning Show. Soccer Down here. John here, you there. And it's going to be, fairly interesting topics across the board. Traditionally, we have Niko Moreno coming up at 10:30 Eastern. Morning, Alex. No more no more sleaze and giggles. Okay. Okay, so we're going to start off early. Morning, Alex. Morning, Niall. All right. We'll talk Bart Sleaze coming up in just a little bit. And there's stuff with other teams and signings and ins and outs, and we'll get into that as well. Happy Thursday. And here at Soccer's Morning Show, like I said, Niko Moreno joining us at 10:30, and we'll go over some things. I do have a question of the day, and it has to kind of do with what we've been seeing over the last, 5 o'clock yesterday, 16 hours. And so we'll be getting into that and kind of have an equivalency exam with all of that. But we got players moving, we got stories, we got coaches, we got stuff overseas. So there's plenty to get into this morning. Morning Modiflow, and let's see, did I miss anybody? No, so far so good. All right, so here's my question, and it's opening kickoff once again, brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee. kickoffcoffeeco.com, and I finally got the chance to do this. Thanks to Abby. Better QR code than mine. Actually, here you go. Here's your comparisons. That's me. That's Abby. That's me. That's Abby, for those of you watching on the video version. So that's the Abby poll for the QR code for our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. And once again, don't forget, when you start your day with Kickoff Coffee, perhaps you were to kick off your day with Kickoff Coffee, don't forget to use the code SoccerDownHere15 with your purchase. They, in turn, take 10% reinvested into youth games, youth initiatives that they have earmarked that are pretty cool. And that is what you do with our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Much better QR code. Much better than me. What I ended up doing, with the banner that I used to have hanging in Office HD, I literally took my phone, went right up to the QR code and took a picture and then downloaded. That was what that was. So Abby, a far better job of the QR code from our friends at Kickoff Coffee than I ever probably could capture. So hat tip to Abby for helping us out with the QR code with our friends at Kickoff Coffee and at kickoffcoffeeco.com. My question obviously has to do with what's been going on in the last 16 hours. First off, 5 o'clock yesterday afternoon, it's announced that Nick Saban retiring at the age of 72 after 17 seasons as head coach in Tuscaloosa. And this morning, we get the news out of Boston that it appears that Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots are separating after 24 seasons, I think, as head coach. So my question to the floor, my QOD this morning is this. What would be the soccer equivalent of a Saban-like announcement that would surprise the ever-loving-ish out of all of us when it happens? And we would be like, man, that's big news. And it shakes the sport at its, at its most fandom levels. Shakes the sport at its core. If you had an announcement like this, Ricky's already in, and he's thinking that it would be in MLS Bruce Arena. And this is wide open, so it can be your favorite league, your favorite dude, whatever. So in Major League Soccer, Ricky is saying it's Bruce Arena. Modiflow is saying Oscar Washington Tabatas, but it already happened. Rich, Pep says retiring from all coaching. And so Pep seems to be the answer right now, at least for a lot of you. Ricky has Pep. Niall's got Pep. Ricky says whenever Carlo Ancelotti and Jose Mourinho go. And that was I was leaning toward Pep and Ancelotti. If we got that out of the blue announcement that Pep Guardiola was done, and we're thinking, okay, everything's cool. He signed the extension, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden, late in the year, Pep just decides, you know what, I'm going to go to New York and get my Central Park West, big condo, and I'm going to go hang out in New York City for a while, or I'm going to go home. One of those kind of things. Pep was the one that stuck in my head, but we got some good ones in here. Bruce Arena, Ancelotti, Mourinho. Niall says if Pep announced he's done, the world would burn. I mean, especially at this point. I mean, yes, he signed the extension. He's supposed to be hanging around for another couple of years. But I legitimately think that it would be Pep. If Pep just decided to say, after his time at Manchester City, and he's rolling, he's winning titles, all that stuff, and then you end up with end of the season, he goes, just decided that I'm going to retire. Thank you to Manchester City, and it has been fun. One of those. Then it would be, one of those where you're sitting there and you go, man. And yeah, Pep was the first one that popped into my head as I was processing it this year. Ricky says when Tata is done, I'll feel that personally, but he doesn't know if that's seismic enough. But I think for Atlanta United fans, considering what the franchise has been through, it would be locally seismic. I think it would be one of those where you sit there and you go, yeah, you tip your hat and you're like going, man, yeah, and you tip your hat and you just want to send the guy a case of Malbec and thank him for everything. Niall says, yeah, that would be emotional. Niall, on a personal note, Jurgen Klopp. I can't quite get. Niall's asking me if I can do an impression of Klopp. I haven't quite listened to him enough to try. But Niall, as a favor to you, Niall, I will at some point bust out a Jurgen Klopp attempt. I have to listen to him a little more. And the Guardiola, thank you, Monoflo, thank you for the kind words on the Guardiola. That was just something quick that just popped into my head. That literally was no real practice, no attempts at doing it into a mirror, anything like that. That was completely and totally off the cuff. So I will take Monoflo. I will take the 8 out of 10 for doing a Guardiola off the cuff. I will take that. Emilio says, think being 72, age lessens the blow. And I think that, Emilio, I think you're right. I think you're spot on in that regard. But I think that just the fact that he has been, meaning Saban, he has been at the forefront of the sport for so long. And you sit there and you're going, yeah, you may go, man, he's 72. But still, I mean, everybody, he's a young 72. That to me just means that you're still active. 72 is what it says on your driver's license. You're still active. You're still yelling, screaming, ranting, raving. You're still active. Pete Carroll, I think, is in that same range. I think Pete Carroll is 72. And, man, yesterday we had Pete Carroll. We had Nick Saban. And this morning we've got Bill Belichick. It's crazy. So, yeah, I mean, 72, it does lessen the blow, but I think just the fact that we've seen him for as long as we have, and he's been on our television screens as much as he have. I think just the saturation might counteract the age a little bit. Tata and Bielsa would be big with Monoflo. Bielsa, I think, considering what Bielsa has meant to the development of the sport, I think that that Bielsa would be there. Yeah, Sir Alex was definitely a big one when that happened. Monoflo hit the record button. Like I said, yeah. Now my Gary Smith. It took me. That is from just prolonged exposure. When you're around someone as much as you are, you get to hear someone, and what that's coming out of their press conferences and in their sound bites and things, and doing interviews, and you talk to them over the phone, those kinds of things. So Gary Smith is someone who has stuck with me just because I can remember all the times that I've, interviewed or been in conversation with him, so it's always there. Well, Modiflo, would he even mumble it? I think, would it be a statement? Modiflo says Pep would totally mumble his retirement. He would totally mumble his retirement. If he had a press conference to announce it, or would it be just a statement saying, peace out, I'm done, and you get the big graphic? That's what I think Pep would do. I think that Pep wouldn't even necessarily do a retirement press conference. I think that it would be just like we saw yesterday with Saban. It would be an announcement. It's manufactured paragraphs, quote in the second paragraph that goes for a couple of sentences. I want to thank Manchester City for the time and the success that we've had. Something like that, where you get like 3 sentences of it, and then you get something from the head of the ownership group, and 5 paragraphs later, you're out the door. I don't even think that he mumbles his retirement. I think that he puts it in a statement and it's released by the team whenever that happens. Michael Valverde says Sam Allardyce. When there are no more jobs to apply for, Sam Allardyce retires. When he feels that no job is worthy of his application, Sam Allardyce will be applying for gigs 10 years after the rest of us stop applying for gigs. Sam will be at the front of the line for every possible gig going forward. He will be the first CV that is, literally, I bet he has drafts of franchises along the way. Right now, he probably, let's see, where would he be? Shoot. Knowing him, he's probably got a draft for Brentford, probably has a draft for Burnley. He probably has he's probably got a draft in the queue, no offense, Tom and Ropes, but he's probably got a draft for Everton. See, now, I'd have to listen to Big Sam, because I don't have a Big Sam impression either. That's my problem, is that I've got to work on this stuff. I definitely have to work on that. So let's see. Roy Hodgson. I can't do a Roy Hodgson yet. I can't do that. I can't quite do a Hodgson. I have to listen. Yeah, Crystal Palace wouldn't surprise me, even though they got Steve Cooper as their number one idea once Hodgson decides to retire at age 76. Sam, I'm sure, has got a draft in for Crystal Palace. Pete and Bill 72, Saban 71. Thank you. Yeah, good for Saban. Emilio, better than doing a Paterno or a Bowden. Yeah, Bobby Bowden stayed entirely too long. As the Florida State alum on this show, definitely one of those where he stayed entirely too long. And I think it started to go downhill when he had his sons as coordinators and they weren't effective, and he stuck with them. That's just me. Yeah, and Paterno, yeah. No, but that's the thing with Pete Carroll being 72, and that's the thing. When you look at someone who is 72 years old, Silver Surfer Pete Carroll keeps himself in fantastic physical shape. And, he'll go out there, he'll surf, he'll do his thing. He's always chewing gum, he's always active, those kinds of things. That's the kind of 72 that, that I think we should aspire to. Always being active, always being engaged, always running 9,000 miles an hour, munching the gum as you go. So that to me is the kind of 72 that I'm looking forward to. Modiflo, I think a lot of Saban moments have already happened. Niall, Mourinho would do the respect thing when announcing his retirement. Respect. Yes, respect. Absolutely. 3 titles for me, 2 for the others. So respect. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it would be. Sam is comedy, Michael. Michael says, glad you saw the comedy in that one. But no, it is a running understanding that Sam Allardyce will be applying for jobs long after we have retired from all of ours. Kefsey, did Jose retire? That would explain why he tries to get red each game that he appears. He might be. Well, but that's the thing is folks are wondering if he's just trying to get kicked out. Emilio, I think Emilio has one here that we have not discussed or discovered. Emilio has Big Sam for Minnesota United. Absolutely. Big Sam, I am sure. And the thing is, with the sporting director still over in England, it's just a phone call. It's a local call. The sporting director is still overseas. He's supposed to allegedly, possibly, probably be here on this side of the pond by the end of the week. Because I think that's when preseason practice starts. Camp physicals are Saturday for Atlanta United, by the way. And camp looks like it is starting on Monday for Atlanta United separately. But now I think that might be why the sporting director at Minnesota United might be working his way overseas to be here possibly, probably, allegedly this weekend. But Big Sam, I will guarantee you, he probably rang the guy up. It's a local call. Definitely he rung the guy up. I can guarantee it. Guy looks at his caller ID. The new sporting director at Minnesota United looks at his caller ID. Sam Allardyce? Big Sam for Minnesota United. That is one that I completely and totally did not see, and definitely think that Sam has put his hat in the ring on that one. And Michael, to your point, yeah, Big Sam doesn't even need an agent. Does not need an agent. Modiflow. Especially when you think about the development of the game and managers having longevity with the same team. Saban's really a reflection of other managers of yesteryear. And he brings up Simeone and Atletico. I think that's another good one. Because when, and we've seen, this is like we've seen it in college football where, has time passed him by, and then Simeone makes a run. I think Simeone and Atletico Madrid. I think that's another good one. Emilio, 72 ain't that far away. Bite your tongue. We stay active. It's just a number on a driver's license. That's how I look at it. Everybody's sitting there going, "Oh, well, you're X number of years old." And that's like, yes, so yeah, you run around and you're as active as you can be, and you stay in as good a shape as possible, and you have fun while you're doing it. It's just a number on a driver's license. Folks sit there and they look at zeros and they look at fives, and they literally, I have folks, in circles and things like that. Oh, I've turned X number of years old. Come on. It's just a number on a driver's license. That is all that it is. But yeah, I just that popped into my head this morning and yesterday as all of the Saban stuff was happening and the Belichick stuff this morning. So that's the QOD. And that is opening kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee, kickoffcoffeeco.com. Here is your Abby QR code. Much better job than me. Of putting a QR code in as a JPEG. So that's your QR code for our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Don't forget to use the code Soccer Down Here 15. You get 15% off your purchase when you use there's your QR code, but when you use that code for Kickoff Coffee, they in turn take 10%, reinvest it into youth games, youth initiatives, stuff that they have earmarked. Very, very cool stuff from our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. A couple of housekeeping items once again. There's the scarf to help out our friends at the Marshall Islands. It should be in the process of being shipped from one end of the planet to the other. And by the time that I return to Office HD over the weekend, I should be anticipating it. I hope that it is just not sitting on a doorstep someplace and getting wet tomorrow. I have received no word on whether or not it has made it to Office HD, but that is to help our friends at the Marshall Islands. When I know a price point, I'm basically giving you all of the preparation right now. That when I know a price point, then we can start the pre-sale. But I just wanted to let you see what it is to help out our friends at the Marshall Islands. Great work from our friends at Die Hard Scarves, as you can see. But when I know, I will let you know, and that will help out our friends at the Marshall Islands as they're trying to come over here in the fall of 2024 and do some things to continue to grow the national team where there are Marshallese here in the United States. So they're looking to do something up in Arkansas, a clinic, or uh, possibly some friendlies with some other growing nations, other developing nations. So we'll see how that is. But the plan is to do something here in the U.S. in the South, in the Southeastern Conference in October. Southeastern Conference footprint, like I said, they're looking in like Northwest Arkansas, but we're hoping that we can help them with this. That's the scarf. When I know more, I will let you know more. But the price point is still being decided as we go. So that is the scarf from our friends at the Marshall Islands. Yeah, a summer scarf is just skinnier. It's not the thicker. Modiflow wants to know what a summer scarf is. It's just the thick. It's not the thick scarf that we normally wear. It's not like a scarf, like a winter scarf. It literally is just the thin material that is attached. And yes, Michael, check the front porch. There might be some packages that still were not supposed to be delivered while we were away, but they might be sitting there on the front stoop. Modiflow 1 wears a summer scarf the same way that you would wear a normal scarf. It is the same drift over the neck, and it literally it drapes as normally. It's just not as thick. You can wear the summer scarf. Yeah, and Ricky has it. You can wear it in the summer. You can wear it in the fall. You can wear it. You can wear it any time of year as an accessory. You can, wander down the streets in the summer, sit there, and you wave it and you go, hey, But yes, Ricky has it pegged. It is just thin and breathable. It is a thin and breathable scarf, I guess is probably the it is just thin and breathable. And it's like I said, it's not the thick normal soccer scarfy kind of thing. So Hutch says time for an updated SDH Gator for soccer in the streets. Okay, we'll take a peek at that too. And don't forget, you can go on the website at soccerdownhere.net and you can get a click through and get SDH gear. Like I said, you can get the jackets, like you can get the zip ups like this. We got all the t-shirts from all of the malaprops that I've had over the years, and all the sayings that Nick and Jason and Jarrett have had as well. Like I said, go to the store, go to the website, click through, get to the store. We've got all the stuff. And so Hutch is now requesting an updated SDH Gator for soccer in the streets. So yeah, Ricky, when you're hot, you want to wear a scarf. It's a summer scarf. It's something that's, like I said, it's breathable. It's airy, thin and breathable, as Ricky says. So that's those are the scarves, just thinner material, a little shorter, but it's going to help out our friends at the Marshall Islands, and it'd be great to hopefully help them out so they can grow their program. And we can wear the jerseys and the bucket hats and the addition of the scarves, and we can all be decked out in all of our Marshall Islands gear as they continue to build their program. Okay. This morning, we were kind of wondering what the updates were going to be about Polish Power, Bartosz Szliz. And it looks like, as of yesterday, that there might have been a number, that there might be a number that has been agreed to. Contributor Niall has been all over this stuff. And it is what we're staring at this morning. Katrina Prepiorka from our friends at Meshikli. Wait, hang on. I screwed that up. Meshikip. I'm trying to read Polish here. From our friends at Meshikip, the Polish newsletter. No wonder I messed it up, because I'm reading the Polish email web link to it. Meshiki is what is the magazine and the media term from our friends at Meshiki. It appears Bartosz Szliz will soon join Major League Soccer, and so they have done an in-depth piece about Bart Szliz with our friends at Meshiki, and it came out like breakfast time. So that is a fait accompli to our friends in Poland that Bart Szliz is coming over. Headline: Bartosz Szliz will play there. Great club, fanatical fans. They can promote and sell for huge amounts of money. Tomasz Lodarczyk from Mechiki informed about the transfer of Bartosz Szliz to MLS. One of the most important players of Legia Warsaw will become a new player of the MLS, and this is translated, the MLS representative Atlanta United. Which club does the Polish representative join, and what can you expect from the new project? And so they go through. In the near future, everyone in Poland should receive official confirmation of the transfer of Bartosz Szliz, from whose sale Legia will earn approximately $3.5 million US. And so he will get to spend the entire preseason with his new club. Mechiki makes the point, seventh Pole in the league. Świderski, Józwiak, Mateusz Klich, Bogusz, Kowalczyk in Houston, and Kasper Szpilka with the Fire. Worth noting that the image regarding domestic players in Major League Soccer is slowly changing. Until now, these were usually offensive players or strikers with designated player status. The article says there's no point in kidding yourself. They tended to go to slightly weaker teams. Bogusz tried to change this trend a bit by going through the previous season without the so-called special contract to then champions of LAFC, meaning the DP deal. Now, Bartosz Szliz will join this group who goes to Atlanta United, a very strong club with great ambitions. And let's see. Szliz is to strengthen and this is from Mechiki, intended to solve the problems in the midfield. Expectations for the Pole are high. The pressure will not be overwhelming due to the fact he has not signed a DP contract. I don't know if that's necessarily true. 24-year-old will have time to introduce himself to the new team, get acquainted with the new coach's vision of the game. Szliz is to strengthen the very unstable position. Okay, and this is a quote from Tyler over at Scarves and Stripes. Unstable position of defensive midfielder. I wouldn't necessarily call it defensive, but there's a quote from Tyler in here. And so then they discuss what it looks like there. And let's try to see what other information might be attached. So it was an introductory piece at Mechiki about Atlanta United, but it looks like the number looks like it's going to be $3.5 million. And because remember, it was what, 2 to 2.5 initially, and then the sporting director at Legia Warsaw said no, 5. So it's as we figure, when somebody says, all right, one side, the other side says one thing, usually you meet in the middle, and 2 and 5 is 7, and so the middle point of 2 and 5 is 3.5, and that's where you go. Tomasz Lodarczyk yesterday, once again, one of the most important players for Legia Warsaw, 33 matches, a goal and 3 assists. Played his first matches for the Polish national team, 6 caps, debut in 2021, more chances in 2023. At the time, Legia had been considering selling its leader for a long time, Serie A and MLS. And remember, Lecce with Serie A had not, they looked at the numbers and it didn't quite mix. Lodarczyk says that the $3.5 million is a solid amount, especially since the midfielder's contract with Legia Warsaw is valid only until the end of the calendar year. So Legia Warsaw ran the risk of not getting anything for Bartosz Szliz, and so they decided, okay, let's get something for him, and it looks like it's going to be 3.5. And so that's the note from Lodarczyk yesterday about Bartosz Szliz. And so how we had mentioned that, oh, wow, Michael had 2 packages retrieved and now residing at the casa. Mucho apreciado. Thank you very much. Especially before the rain on Friday. So I might ask you to double check during Friday and rain or something. So if I get word of a rather large box, those are the Marshall Islands scarves, Michael, just so you know. Michael is about a 5-iron from Office HD. Literally, his house, the head household and the head of the household are literally a 5-iron from Office HD to his place. So once again, thank you for keeping an eye out on the front stoop. So it looks like 3.5. We do not have any update on Steen Gregerson. The last time that we had, according to Alex, full steam ahead, was the idea that he was coming over to this part of the planet and he was looking at medical, 1.8 to 2 million euro. There you go. And so that was your Steen Gregerson update. That's the last we had, that he was heading this way, and it was during all the weather, so we don't know how things might have slowed down or what have you. So the Hoff, Joe Freihofer, said it was going to be a very, very busy week when it came to social media. So Steen Gregerson, close. Bartosz Szliz, apparently close. And so those ins and outs that we've been staring at, McCarty in, Derek Williams in, Gregerson close, Szliz anticipated, outbound, Ozzie Alonso retires, Sosa to Rossing. It was Franco Ibarra to Rosario Central, and Mateo Sosecchi looking for a home. So far, 4 out and 4 in. That's where we are right now, with camp being what it's looking like. So that's where we are with all of these folks. It's a long. Michael says it's a really long 5-iron. I'm taking all the trees and all the houses out of play. I think that with topography, you hit a good 5-iron to the top of the hill and it rolls down and you're okay. But all right, so that's the update with Atlanta United. We do have some other players and news and transfers and things, and LGP officially gone. Yeah, LGP, considering he was loaned out and had a salary figure of almost $900,000. $900,000 for LGP. So you got that too. So technically 5 out and 4 in. But other announcements. Once again, camp looks like it's going to start on Monday, and it is physicals on Saturday, it looks like. So Brandon Vasquez in Cincinnati, officially official. And like I said, when Niko joins us for the last half hour of the show, we'll go over a lot of these transfers, and especially the ones that have happened in the last week, and get his thoughts. I do have a story out of Toronto that I wanted to divulge this morning. Brandon Vasquez, officially official. That happened yesterday. All of the social medias and everything posting Brandon Vasquez posting to everybody back in Cincinnati how he's going to miss them and thanks them for their time and their love and support and all those kinds of things. So Brandon Vasquez, officially official. Once again, when we saw the video of him working his way through the airport with the push cart, you kind of knew it was going to be going down. So $7.5 million for Brandon Vasquez, another $1 million in add-ons, and a percentage of the pass. Could be very, very lucrative for FC Cincinnati. Also on the Hutch, I don't know the way to Monterey, but I'm hoping that there's maybe some flights and maybe some CONCACAF hemispheric tournaments and activities that can be interacted there. So Brandon Vasquez, officially official. Troy Lacine, officially now the head coach at DC United. Once again, not the worst kept secret on the planet, considering that was what we had talked about last week, but apparently all the I's have been crossed and the T's have been dotted, and so they now have their head coach. And Ricky, I did see that about the third kit. By the way, third kit. Speaking of third kit, did you guys see the possible, probable, alleged, maybe third kit for Messi and friends? Straight out of the Miami Dolphins playbook. It looks fantastic. If that is in fact going to be the third kit, that looks incredible. I'm not buying it, mind you, but it looks strong. Third kit. Looking forward to seeing that one if that is in fact the case. Henry Higuita, version 2.0, letting us know about February 17th. But yeah, the third kit for Messi and friends, straight out of the Miami Dolphins colors. Great play by them if that is in fact what's going to lay out. Also on the board, it was Omar Gonzalez going back home to FC Dallas. I don't know if I'm an FC Dallas fan, I'm hoping / considering possibly, probably, maybe that is once again insurance. That is not something that is going to be laid out for you to where you are going to start Omar Gonzalez a lot, especially in those summers that you're going to have in Frisco. And considering what Omar has been doing on the field the last couple of years. And obviously, once again, as he's growing older, you don't want the minutes to go in proportion. And I'm thinking that this is a depth piece for FC Dallas. Tom Bogert had a piece yesterday on Fidel Barajas. And we have talked about Fidel Barajas a lot with our friends at the USL show, Kaylor Hodges and everybody. Fidel Barajas, fantastic find for the Charleston Battery. And now, and this is a steal. This is a steal. Tommy Scoops brought this out yesterday, and now that we've got the figures attached. RSL finalizing a deal to sign Fidel Barajas from the Battery, Bogert and Reuter, $250,000 fee. The Battery do get a sell-on percentage, and that's big for the Battery too. And Mike Kelleher, regarded as the top USL prospect, played at the U17 World Cup. And for what we have seen in the past with players coming out of Lou City and going overseas, 7-figure transfer fees. For RSL to get a 17-year-old in Fidel Barajas for $250,000, that is a steal for RSL. At least I think so. That's a great pickup for RSL for $250,000, and obviously a piece of the pass going forward. But that is a big pickup. Also from Tommy Scoops this morning, the men's national team have given Cade Cowell permission to depart national team camp. So he will no longer be at Camp Cupcake. And the reason is that he's going to travel to finalize his transfer to Chivas from San Jose, worth an initial $4 million plus add-ons and a piece of the pass. So, nice piece of business for San Jose. Cade Cowell, probably in short order, maybe perhaps heading down to Liga MX. Chicharito, that looks like that is official as well, heading to Chivas. Austin FC targeting Colombia international forward Miguel Borja as a new signing. Hernan Garcia Grova reports Austin has a bid for the striker at $3.5 million for 80% of the pass. So Austin looking for firepower. Miguel Angel Borja from River Plate for $3.5 million for 80%. Botafogo has signed Jefferson Savarino from RSL. So Savarino out, Barajas in. Sources say the deal is $2.7 million. RSL keeping a sell-on percentage. Once again, good piece of business. 2.7, keep a percentage of the pass. Jefferson Savarino from RSL to Botafogo. So those are the ones from overnight. Now, one of the other signings yesterday, Kai Wagner. There was all of the talk in the offseason. Wagner had put it on social media that he was leaving. The audios, he wasn't happy with negotiations, wasn't happy with how things were playing out in Philadelphia. Rich Ransom, the next time that you are part and parcel to the and honestly, Rich, I was going to ask, what did you think about the signing? Kai Wagner apparently signing a 3 with an option for a 4th with Philadelphia. So all of the talk, and he's returning. Best 11 left back, Kai Wagner. Sources briefed on the deal. Out of contract and a free agent. Contract talks stalled during the season. They return to the table. Red Star Belgrade and AEK Athens, Matias Almeida. among European clubs with offers. Crucial piece, and this is the wording from The Athletic. Crucial piece of the Union's success in recent years, best 11 and 22, finalist for MLS Defender of the Year. Set an MLS record for assists by a defender, 15, including hockey assists. Wagner made the All-Star squad in 21 and 22. Came to Philadelphia as a little-known lower division player from Germany in 2019, quickly established himself among the best left backs in the league. The season ended for Wagner when he was suspended for 3 games after violating the league's on-field anti-discrimination policy in their first playoff match against the New England Revolution. You remember the back and forth with Bobby Wood. Wagner will miss the first match of the regular season because that will be the one match that is still attached to that particular suspension. Tommy Scoop's also mentioning that the Bartosz Szli's transfer, wanting to add a defensive midfielder to partner with Tristan Muyumba after having signed Dax McCarty this week. So Middlesbrough, Brentford, Hoffenheim, Borussia Mönchengladbach apparently all interested in Brandon Vasquez. So Brenner to Udinese for $10 million plus add-ons. Since he signed Aaron Bupenza for $7 million, re-signing Lucho Acosta to a new deal. Brandon Vasquez, $7.5 million plus $1 and a percentage of the pass. So, but yeah, Rich, I wanted to ask you about the return of Kai Wagner. I legitimately did. And so Rich says there were other offers to Europe on the table. Money wasn't the same. Many supporters' theory came true. Wagner's options were low. Union successfully lowballed a deal with Wagner. So there's your input on Kai Wagner. Because, yeah, when this came across our bow yesterday, Rich, legitimately you were the first person I thought of when we came back to the show the following day about what you thought about it and what other Philadelphia Union fans thought about it, especially how the season ended involving Kai Wagner and Bobby Wood. And so I wanted to ask about that as a part of this, as a part of the signing. So that was one of the other things that I wanted to discuss with everybody this morning when it came to signings and such. So, all right. So Fidel Barajas, Kai Wagner, Omar Gonzalez, new coach at DC United. We still have Sam Allardyce, I'm sure, lobbying for Minnesota United. And you're now on your next interim coach. And by the way, McCauley is now the new head coach for Indy 11 in USL Championship. So literally, he was the interim head coach at Minnesota United. He was the head coach for Loons too. Became the interim after taking over for Adrian Heath. Finished out the season. They decide the front office that they're going to stick with McCauley, not chasing after a new head coach because of, I'm guessing, once again, but the sporting director not being in Minnesota. But to me, that shouldn't be a deterrent. You should be able to do things virtually these days and doing interviews and all this kind of stuff. And then McCauley basically says, I'm out. So you're now on your second interim coach going into a new season, and you still don't have a head coach. You're Minnesota United. It is January. You are heading into camp, in theory, and you don't have a head coach. What in the wide world of sports is going on in Minnesota? Other than announcing that they have an international friendly versus St. Patrick's Athletic at Allianz March the 20th at 8 o'clock. St. Patrick's Athletic, founded in 1929. Where are you? The League of Ireland Premier Division. The League of Ireland Premier Division. I'm not kidding. Let me see if Minnesota United has come up on their. They have not announced their preseason stuff yet. It does not appear. Coaching staff updates. Game with Charlotte moved to April 21st. Loaning of Ethan Bristow, they have not. Okay, so they have not announced their preseason schedule as of yet, with a second interim coach. Morning, Tom. Yeah, and Tom, I wanted to bring this up too. The new stadium sponsor for we'll have some fun with this. We'll have some fun with this one. Let's see. What do we do here? Yeah. What do we do? What do we do? What do we do? What do we do? Yeah, we'll do this one. Sorry, gave me the chance to play it quickly. Orlando has a new stadium sponsor. At least the word is that they have a new stadium sponsor. And I'm wondering if we have to identify the stadium fully with the name of the new sponsor. Half-season plans on sale, those kinds of things. But my question is, and also they signed Facundo Torres to a new contract, the new 3-year deal, club options 27 and 28. It appears that the new stadium name, the new main sponsor for Orlando City, for the Purple Team, is all right. So initially, right now, it's Exploria Stadium. Apparently, possibly, probably, maybe, it is an outfit called Inter and Co. So it appears Exploria Stadium would be changing their name to a joint called Inter and Co. I mean, I don't know if this is, like Inter Milan and Company or what is it? What's the talk show on Channel 11? Something and Company, Peachtree, whatever. But the talk shows that you have, Somebody and Company, Inter and Co. And they haven't even officially, allegedly named the joint yet, but probably are catching some blowback. Yeah, first time Inter Miami plays at Inter and Co. Morning, Harry. But here's you've already got petitions on change.org from folks that do not want Exploria changed to Inter and Co. And apparently, and I'm just clicking on this now, they already have 109 signatures on change.org, and it is listed as gaining momentum. Inter and Co. Stadium. Like I said, we have no actual official, there's nothing officially official about it. Nothing officially official. But Inter and Co. Let me do some research here and figure out who the hell Inter and Co. actually is. Oh no. Your next financial app. Okay, here's Inter and Co. Sure, I'll accept all cookies. Fine. Inter and Co. Your financial life made easy. Send money with excellent exchange rates and low fees. The right mortgage made simple with Inter & Co. QR code, Interinvest, Interloop with payments. Who are these? Send money with excellent exchange rates and low fees. Debit card, shopping online. Who are these people? It's like I've got the ad playing here on this site, but I'm trying to figure out. I need some details. Okay. Inter & Co. Stock price. $5.35. You too can own a piece of Inter & Co. for $5.35. This morning, by the way, it's up 3 cents. Up half a percentage point. They've surpassed 30 million clients, accelerating growth toward a 5-year business plan. And apparently their net income and they're based in Brazil. Oh, this is stable. Belo Horizonte, Brazil. This is just before Christmas. Inter & Co. has a new brand to reflect the company's evolution. 3 years after its last rebranding, the institution's unveiling a new logo, consolidating its position as a financial super app and a smarter financial choice for more than 30 million clients in Brazil and the United States. In 2015, according to Inter & Co.'s, and I'm hoping this is the right Inter & Co. because it looks it, Inter & Co. CEO João Vitor Menem. Apparently, they came out with this new logo, too. 2015, they launched Brazil's first digital bank and transformed people's relationships with banks in the financial system by offering a fairer alternative. Looking to the future, we want to break down more barriers and change the way people deal with money. The financial super app is the solution we have found to fulfill this goal, as well as bringing Inter's main attributes. We connect our customers with the digital world and offer the best tools for them to use money in a smarter way. So that's Inter & Co., I believe. That is our friends at Inter & Co. The change.org petition. We, the devoted fans of the Purple Team, have been cheering on our team since 2010. In 2017, we moved to our beloved Exploria Stadium and have made countless memories there. The thought of renaming it to Inter & Co. Stadium is not just a change in name, but an affront to us as supporters. It's unheard of for a stadium to be named after a rival team, and we won't let it happen here in Orlando. Exploria Stadium has been more than just a venue. It's been our home ground where we've witnessed victories, losses, and everything in between. It holds significant sentimental value for us all. The proposed renaming would not only disrespect the history and legacy of our club, but also undermine the loyalty and passion that we fans bring each game day. As per Sports Business Journal in 2021, naming rights are crucial for maintaining fan identity and connection with their teams. We urge those responsible for this decision to reconsider their stance on this matter. Please sign this petition if you agree that changing the name from Exploria Stadium to Inter & Co. is unacceptable. That's a change.org petition involving the alleged Inter & Co. Stadium. Oh, boy. Wow. Yes. Enter Messi and Company. Michael Head, you're not wrong. Kefsi, and they need a nickname they like because not going to turn down money. I'm trying to. We gotta come up with a nickname for this joint now. If this is in fact going to pass. Yeah, Daniel says it's all the Five Stripes fans signing. They're the ones signing this petition. Yeah, I think if you were a fan of anybody but the Purple Team, you would want that thing to continue to be what it is. You would want that to continue to be Inter & Co. for that matchup against Inter Miami. Messi and friends, Inter Miami at Inter & Co. We take the money, Kefsi. We take money, we give you shine back. Don't ask questions. Inter & Co. So I did have, okay. So I was right. Emilio says Inter & Co is a subsidiary of Inter Holding Financeira SA of Brazil. Hutch. Sounds like a fancy way of saying money laundering. But as we all know, and Abby, yeah, I wonder how much they would pay, how much they paid for the naming rights. Yes, Inter & Co at Inter & Co. Rich, always take the check. Michael Head, did not know Exploria was such an historic name. Also known as the Intercity Change Bank. How do we make money? Volume, volume, volume. Emilio, this will help with creative financing to combat Inter Miami. I don't know if it will or not. But yeah, the wonder how much they paid for naming rights. As far back as I can remember, I can't think that Brazil has had the most stable economy. And so a company that is based in Belo Horizonte that has a super app. Oh, brother. Why is it right now? Why do I see this not going well? Why do I mean, is this just me? Is this just me? Oh my goodness. Inter & Co hosting Intermessi & Co. Oh my God. Inter & Co at Inter & Co. Abby, who owns Exploria Stadium? Does the purple team own it or is it city owned? Let's find out. Exploria Stadium owners. See, this way we can go down rabbit holes and have fun. Exploria Stadium owners. All right, so I did that in the search on the Google machine. So sold to the Wilf family in 2021. So the Wilfs own it, privately owned. Privately owned stadium. So it is family owned. It's a family owned joint. So the Wilfs are looking to make sure that everything is going to help pay the bills. So we are now, all right, so Logan T. Miller. Oh, of course. Yes. Orlando City Stadium. Absolutely. Yeah, part of, I think Logan's a part of the Iron Line firm. But no, Logan has an excellent point. You get Popeyes to be a sponsor on that thing? That is doing a public service. Absolutely doing a public service. You get Popeyes Park. That would be epic. That would be epic. If you got that to happen. So it's got to be Popeyes Park. I mean, it has to be. But yeah, owned by the club. Chefsy. Okay, Purple fans, we've heard your concerns. Our other choice was winter something that doesn't make sense with our weather stadium. Which do you like better? And yeah, and that is true. Orlando's been known to have strong ties to different Brazilian entities. Yes. But I'm just thinking of my history and how many times I have seen / heard that the financial folks in Brazil have had to revalue their currency. They've had to revalue their currency. And oh boy. All right, mark it down right now. This will not go well. Hutch, Miami needs to start messy coin virtual currency. Yeah, so it's where it's not Bitcoin, it's messy coin. Absolutely. But the thing is that you know that there would be folks that would absolutely just buy that stuff up. Absolutely would buy that stuff up. You know that they would. Absolutely, you know they would. Wow. All right. So, couple of housekeeping things. Later today, we're going to do an interview with our friends at the USL Super League in the Carolinas, catching up with their new head coach. So that's be up later today. Bringing Nick into the conversation. So good morning, sir.
Hey, how we doing?
Doing all right. Apparently, there is a possible, probable new sponsor for the stadium in Orlando involving the purple team.
Yeah.
And it is a bank that is based in Brazil.
You know. What is this name, John?
Inter & Co.
Oh, wow. Look at that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, here's the thing about comedy, right? Is that sometimes comedy writes itself. You don't really have to do anything. The situation is so hilarious and so comedic that all you have to do is speak about it. That's it.
That's true.
You know, this is like I'm not going to say it's quite Seinfeld in nature, but it's close. Where it's like, you know, what's the deal with Orlando?
What's up with Orlando?
I mean, it is just, oh my God. You know that there was the conversation, I guarantee, went down something like this. So, guys, we have a potential sponsor for the stadium. Okay, great. Big money, guys. Huge money. Oh, wow. Okay, awesome. Fantastic. Sure. Give us a number. Number gets dropped. Eyeballs, go full Looney Tunes. And then they realize very quickly the name has not been mentioned. And there's no stipulation listed yet. What is the catch? That means there's a catch. There's something huge about this that's not going to go well. What's it going to be? It's going to be called Inter & Co. I mean, only Orlando could do this. There's no other team out there that could do this. It's the Washington Generals. This is full on huge super comedy. I mean, I don't know.
Hutch is asking, how can the Onion compete with this?
They can't. It can't. No, it's like the Onion since 2016. It can't write the comedy anymore. The headlines, the news headlines alone are just too crazy. I mean,
Yeah. Well, and Daniel does make the point that being Brazilian based, they'll strengthen player pipeline connections for the Purples, and they have been around for a while. Traded on the NASDAQ, they are up the sum total of a nickel today to about $5.40 a share.
Well, I think, I mean, that's
it's that sponsor bump, brother. That's what that is.
Look, I understand, but there's no way that I don't know how the Wilfs sign off on that. I just don't. I really don't understand how the Wilfs sign off on this.
This is the upfront cash, check cash.
Right. I mean, what would be hilarious if the Moss brothers bought Inter & Co. And then that way they could say, like, we're your benefactors, Orlando. We're your benefactors.
Who's your daddy? We are.
That's right. Not only do we own you on the field, but also we own your stadium, literally. And they could go full wrestling heel, like when the farmer wrestler has to put up the deed to the farm, and the heel manager buys it and is like, I own the deed to your farm now. You have to put the title on the line. I mean, this is peak 1984 National Wrestling Alliance storyline.
Oh, it absolutely is. Speaking of, okay, yes, been around. Daniel says primarily a bank that is transforming with the times. Yeah, they are doing a bunch of digital things and cards and all that kind of stuff. There was another story that I was holding back, and I'm glad that you jumped in as you did. Niko Moreno joining us in about 20 minutes.
There we go.
For his standard visit, we'll see on which cup of coffee he's on.
Okay.
Our friends at goal.com. Here's the headline. It's a Jacob Schneider piece.
Mm-hmm.
Quote, in the headline, quote, bro, just stop vaping. CJ Sapong opens up on dysfunctional Toronto FC locker room under Bob Bradley with ex-UMNT boss reportedly having feuds with Federico Bernardeschi and Lorenzo Insigne. I know that shocked you.
Shocking.
CJ Sapong opened up on the dysfunctional locker room at BMO under Bob Bradley on the Cooligans podcast. He joined the crew to discuss what went down, and it was like an Amazon Prime series in terms of chaos, according to Sapong. Here's what Sapong said. Here's what he said.
Highlights.
Quote, I'll be completely honest. That was an Amazon Prime series, and it happens like that a lot with locker rooms. There's always micro stories or things, but this ish, and that wasn't the word that he used, was another level. When asked about the stories of Bradley and Bernardeschi feuding over the Italian vaping in the locker room, the striker said, Sapong said, quote, this is where I challenged a lot of my teammates and a lot of perspectives because that seems simple, right? It's like, bro, just don't vape. But if that person is just someone who decides they're going to do what they're going to do, then at the end of the day, well, I guess he's just going to do that. In the early part of the 23 campaign, he took aim at Bradley, meaning Bernardeschi, which then followed by the report from The Athletic. The attacker was admonished for using a vape pen in club facilities, and they clashed, with Bernardeschi ridiculing their training sessions, in-game tactics, and more up until Bradley's sacking on June 27th. So, bro, don't vape.
Well, okay. So the Italians were one of the last teams to have the cigarette boy on the touchline. So like if, in mid-game, this really used to happen. Okay. Like a player goes down injured or, whatever. The cigarette boy would come running out and he would have like a smoke or two in his mouth and like 3 or 4 in each hand, lit, and would run around and like pass him out. The players take a few drags. The cigarette boy collects, runs back to the touchline. FIFA had since come down and said, yeah, that's not happening anymore. It's not a good look for the children. You got like 10-year-olds who are trying to do drags mid-game now. So, yeah, I think Rich nailed it. Good luck telling Italians not to smoke. It's not, yeah, okay. You have in some locker rooms, like in Napoli, they have like the Bialettis that go around, right? That do the shots of espresso, right? You have the espresso man in the locker room. You have like fantastic dining options. You have brought these Italians all the way to Toronto. And now you're saying, please disregard everything that has made you who you are. I don't care what you do in between game days. It's like Dennis Rodman going to Vegas, in the middle of the finals.
To do Nitro, yeah.
Yeah. And then, ends up on Nitro and, that's Dennis being Dennis. It worked. Dennis played well. If the players are playing well and they're lighting it up, not everyone is Cristiano Ronaldo, who's eating like unseasoned chicken breast and, hyper filtered water imported from the Alpines by the Vestal Virgins who bring it forth singing the aria from Carmen. Look, everyone has their thing that makes them tick, right? Mm-hmm. If they're balling, shut up and let them vape. I mean, just whatever. Like, okay, it's going to smell like, black cherry fresca in the locker room. Oh, are they balling? Yes. Okay, great. Then have fun. If it keeps them from being complaining little clowns, let them have their time. I don't this whole sort of like Byzantine locker room control. Just I will gladly take hate mail on this. Let them. That's fine. Because they were about the only thing that was positive for Toronto. Like on the field anyway. I left the locker room. I'm sure it was a mess, but I mean, it's to me, it's one of those things that there's locker room cultures that clash. I have said before, I will say again, I don't believe that mining Italy for talent is a good idea. Not because Italians can't play at all, ballers, but culturally, it is like it's not even fish out of water, right? I mean, it's like taking it's like taking a gazelle and putting it in the middle of like the Amazon rainforest. Like, good luck. You're not going to last very long. So I get it. It's not fair to the non-vaping players, but when you're in a locker room and that, Abby, that's very fair. But talent in a locker room it's more often than not is going to get treated with special rules.
Preferential treatment, absolutely.
You're going to get preferential treatment. And I know the idea of, well, it's very American to say no player is better than the other. I understand that, but that's not the way it's done around the world. And if you have players who are used to a certain level of treatment and a certain, way of being, and that gets them in their mental zone and that helps us win, I'm probably going to be okay with it. Ricky Ricardo, if Messi wanted to vape, vaping would be happening. Yes.
And there would be a sponsor attached to every single moment of it.
There would be.
Yeah. Brought to you by.
Right. And so it's, it's something where talent has preferential treatment. Talent gets special rules. I may disagree with it, but at the end of the day, if it helps them perform, have fun, do your business. If I'm in the locker next to them, I'm probably cutting some sort of deal. So, but yeah, Abby, I completely get it, Abby. I completely get it. I 100% understand where you're coming from. But it's one of those things. I get it, but the locker room is this isolated, weird little bubble from the world where they have their own little rules. And maybe you put somebody next to them who can kick the crap out of them, and just have that person turn around and be like, you put that vape to your mouth one more time, it's locker room rules. I'm going to beat the hell out of you and nobody's going to say anything about it. And that player learns like, okay, well, maybe I need to keep this vape tucked away until it's time for me to go because I like my teeth.
Yes.
There are ways to handle it. There are ways to handle it where it gets handled inside the locker room.
Yes. And
either the locker room allows it to happen or the locker room revolts and threatens to cut them, or pound their face in, or does something, like in the Marines, for example.
It's the code in hockey, basically.
Right. So, and I'll equate this with the Marines because it's probably the closest thing that I have personally lived, and you just learn to deal with things. We had one guy whose name I will omit, who did not wash his socks for 3 months.
Whoa.
Yeah. Just refused to wash them. I don't know if it was like some kind of weird thing, like good luck thing for him, or if it was some sort of like subtle act of defiance. I don't know. I think he washed the rest of his clothes, but his socks were like stiff.
You think he washed the rest of his clothes.
And so what happened is that dude ended up with like poop in his boots. He ended up with his clothes getting peed on. He ended up waking up with magic marker all over his face. And eventually he started washing his socks because he learned that not every confrontation needs to be abrupt and head to head. Sometimes you can use asymmetrical warfare and achieve your goals, right? Where I'm just going to make your life hell until you change your course of action, right? So I think the Toronto locker room, if they had really wanted to solve that problem of, what toward the end of the season was just the two Italians vaping, they could have solved it, right? It's just one of those things. So, the Full Metal Jacket bunk scene where they put the bars of soap in the socks. That was the old ways. That brings investigations, hijinks.
Yes.
Like as somebody taking a dump in someone's boot does not really get the same level of scrutiny as a recruit or let's say a malcontent.
Yes.
Getting some sort of barracks justice. So as long as it doesn't cross into the physical violence realm, and if it does, it needs to be quick and efficient and clean and handled rapidly, with enough witnesses that naturally hate that other person, so they just lie on the behalf. So the locker room can handle it, but I don't know, man. You gotta, in locker rooms, talent gets preferential treatment. I don't know.
If you're winning, you get preferential treatment. If you're not winning, then there's a problem.
Right. I guarantee you, if Toronto was undefeated and was scoring goals at a clip, there would not be there. It would be the funny story at the end of the season where they would say, "Oh, well, man, they were vaping and we hated it, but I mean, we were winning." So, but since they were losing, it's these clowns keep vaping and I hate them, winning solves a lot of problems.
No, absolutely it does. Yeah. And that's traditionally how it is. What does they say? Winning services a lot of ills.
Yeah.
So you've got that. Gossip, rumor, and innuendo, and what to watch and where to watch it. So, Nick, let me run through some soccer over there-ness here for you.
Let's do it.
Real Madrid assessing the prospect of signing Erling Haaland because of concerns about whether Kylian Mbappe will leave PSG to join them. We'll play cliffhanger. So basically, if there's something you want to comment on, just yell "stop," and then you can comment on it. Jadon Sancho has arrived at Borussia Dortmund to complete the loan move that is now officially official. It looks like it is. He took a swipe at Manchester United out the door, and it looks like it's in the neighborhood of $7.5 million for that particular loan, falling out of favorite Manchester United. Conor Gallagher remains at the top of Spurs' list as they want to bring in a midfielder in January, willing to do a deal with Chelsea. But they want it to be in the neighborhood of 55 to 60 million. Newcastle have been told that Dominic Solanke will not be sold this month after making an inquiry on the Bournemouth forward. Bayern Munich also in talks to sign Eric Dyer. He was in transit this morning, by the way, after missing out in Spurs' race for Genoa's center back Radu Dragusin. Arsenal made a £22 million bid for Getafe striker Borja Mayoral, and that's from the three-letter paper, so take the information at your own peril.
Look at these numbers. Let me pause here. Look at these numbers.
Yeah.
Right? How these numbers seem very much in alignment.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You're not seeing anything like you're not seeing 150 million pound moves, 200 million euro moves. You are seeing a massive market correction in real time.
Mm-hmm.
Right? In one transfer window, you are seeing a massive market correction. And good players going on loan, right? Not like a 55 to 85 million euro deal. Yeah. Like 20, 25, 30 million. Just watch the market correction in progress. Go ahead.
Also, Arsenal is eyeing the £50 million rated Bologna striker Joshua Zirkzee.
Give me the valuation again.
£50 million for the Bologna striker.
Mm-hmm.
Zirkzee would offer Mikel Arteta a different option in attack that any move in January is likely to be complicated. This is from our friends at the Telegraph, because when they put more than one correspondent on it, it's a serious story. Sam Dean and Jason Burt. Admirers of Bologna's Joshua Zirkzee keeping a close eye on the striker as they consider potential targets. Need for another forward, more pressing in recent weeks because of another knee injury suffered by Gabriel Jesus, and not knowing Eddie Nketiah's long-term future. Zirkzee has scored 8 goals, 4 assists, 22 appearances for Bologna, and at 6'4", would offer a different type of option in the attack for Arteta. And the fee, according to Telegraph, Bologna would want in the region of £50 million, open to doing business in January. Careful with their finances, meaning Arsenal after a summer outlay of more than £200 million. Arteta warned last week it would be unrealistic to expect a new striker, but the move for Zirkzee could be at the end of the season. Bologna have made it clear they have no intention of selling Zirkzee this winter, with sporting director Marco Di Vaio saying last month that the Dutchman is a, quote, unique player. Release clause only valid for Bayern Munich, who signed the striker from Feyenoord when he was a teenager. 4 goals, 17 games at Bayern, and a loan spell with Anderlecht in 21-22, regular at the youth level for the Netherlands. Plotting also a move for Ajax defender Jorel Hato. So £50 million valuation for an individual from Bologna, possibly to Arsenal. Manchester United's Anthony Martial's turned down approaches from Fenerbahce, Marseille, and a side in the league that we neither discuss or tell you when they're on television. 28-year-old Frenchman set to stay at Old Trafford. Manchester United have offered Facundo Pellistri in a swap deal with Sporting Lisbon and Denmark midfielder Morten Hjulmand, but the bid has been rejected because of Hjulmand's £69 million release clause, 3-letter paper. West Ham, weighing up bids for Ajax's Steven Bergwijn, Sunderland's Jack Clark, as they want to sign another attacking player in January. They've ruled out a former move for Jesse Lingard. Brentford, Crystal Palace also interested in Clark. Brighton joined the race for Serbian attacking midfielder Lazar Samardzic, with Napoli having agreed to a deal with Udinese for the 21-year-old. Wolves not under pressure to sell Max Kilman. West Ham linked to the 26-year-old defender. They have made a move for Che Adams. Contract at Southampton runs out in the summer. Sevilla favorites to sign Manchester United midfielder Hannibal Mabry on loan for the rest of the year. Napoli could make a move for Jakub Kivior and Chelsea defender Malang Sarr as they look to bring in a center back in January. And Uruguay defender Ronald Araujo says he is focused on Barca amid links to Bayern Munich. So that is the early round of gossip, rumor, and innuendo for today. What to watch and where to watch it. BN has your Turkish Super League, and that is going on right now in the second half, simulcast on BN Espanol. If you don't have BN, you can get it at our friends at Fanatis, fntz.co/soccer down here. Helps out the network, helps out our friends at Fanatis, helps you out for being a true degenerate and looking at the game in places that you haven't had the chance to. Like yesterday, I was watching something out of Uruguay on Gold TV involving River Plate of Uruguay and Newell's Old Boys. And so you can get that kind of stuff at Fanatis. ESPN2 at 2 o'clock has the Supercopa semi with Barcelona and Osasuna, and a simulcast on Deportes and on the Plus. Paramount Plus has the Copa Italia quarterfinals, Juve and Frosinone, at 3 o'clock. And so that is what to watch and where to watch it. Nick, I have not had the chance to discuss with you the ins and the outs of Atlanta United so far, and the possibilities, probabilities of who's in, who's in, possibly who's in, who could be coming in, because, hey, I think pitchers and catchers report on Saturday, and camp actually starts on Monday.
Well, it's great that we're getting back into this whole thing. That's one thing I do love about Major League Soccer is the offseason is not terribly long. To answer Emilio's question, yeah, he says it is the market correction something to keep in mind when thinking about Almada. Absolutely. Where are the buyers, where are the sellers? Mm-hmm. So, we've already established what our, for lack of a better term, an American football term, our check down option is. Yeah. Which is going to be back to Argentina, right? That's the check down option. That's if you're just trying to get, a certain amount of money back. You're trying to, ensure that it's a cash flow positive situation,
Right.
or at least break even. Your check down option is going to be back to South America, so that's fine. But the main buyers are going to be in Europe. The Prem in La Liga are still going to probably be leading the way from a purchase perspective, followed up by, I would say, your more economically stable entities, Germany, the Netherlands, Italy's there. But if you look at the teams across the board, they're all cash strapped.
Mm-hmm.
Juve is tight on spending. Napoli's a nightmare right now. They're just a disaster. The wheels have completely fallen off there. Milan is tight on spending. Inter's tight on spending. They would have to sell players in order to make any additional purchases. The Prem is still your best option. But if the Prem is saying, hey, look, we value, these midfielders and defenders and strikers from European clubs at 50 million or less, or, player for player with a certain amount of, cash considerations, that's going to affect the value. So if there are those of us who say, especially here in Atlanta, Almada's worth 30 million and no less, that's great. That's our valuation on him. That is not the European or English valuation on him. So they may say it's, 14, 15 million. That's it. And if Thiago Almada says, I'm going to Europe, sell me now, mm-hmm. You're going to make the move, because you don't want a kid who is less than completely enthusiastic about playing for you to be trapped here. You don't want that, right? It's not going to help anyone. So I would absolutely keep that market correction in mind when it comes to Almada. But starting off the season right now, pitchers and catchers report, training, getting started. Right now, there's one word that is circling in my brain, and it is visa.
Yeah.
That's it. Can the lawyers go to work and get these visas done so Atlanta United can start off full power right out of the gate? Can we do that? Is it possible? That's the only thing I'm thinking about right now when it comes to any sort of preseason or training ball.
Like I said, we were discussing yesterday, it looks like Schley's is probably, as we always talk about in negotiations, one side has one extreme, the other side has another extreme. You meet in the middle, and that's what this looks like with Schley's. 3.5 is looking like the number to bring him over from Legia Warsaw to help out on your midfield. Steen Gregerson, and once again, full credit to Alex Pacine for saying that it's full steam ahead. We'll give that to Mike Conti come the season when the 6'4" center back heads in a ball off a set piece. And then it looks like 1.8 to 2 million. He looks like, from all indications, he's on this side of the Atlantic, giving physicals and things like that. So we'll see where it is. So Atlanta United, it looks like it's 5 out, 4 in with contracts so far. And you're like, okay, so there's been some stuff that's been going on here with Atlanta United. And to your point, lawyers can be great. Lawyers that know all of the dances can be great, but the government folks, they have a timetable all their own. And Nick, and you know this. It's, you could sit there and have all the paperwork in and be ready to go, but the folks in Washington D.C. or wherever you want to try to process things could sit there and look at their watch and go, no, not today. Sorry, I got a thing. And you're kind of at the mercy of the government at times too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my cousin is waiting on. He and his wife are waiting on her travel visa for Italy, so they're moving over, and they're like, oh well, we should have our visas in like by tomorrow. I'm like,
mm-hmm.
Okay, all right, I wouldn't bank on that, but okay. Well, and then they go and they check, and I text them like, hey, so how did that turn out? And they say, well, we don't. It turns out it could be a couple of weeks. Like, yes, welcome.
Yes.
So that's just how it goes.
Bureaucracy down here.
Yeah. All you could do is just go along for the ride. Keep your expectations low.
Keep your feet on the ground and keep reaching for the stars.
Keep the expectations low and keep the gratitude high. Okay. You do that, by and large, you're going to come out on the better end of things.
Oh, I'm still stuck on I'm still stuck on the change.org petition for changing the Purple Team Stadium from Inter.co back to Exploria Stadium if they're not a sponsor. That seems to be the story of the morning that has locked in things. Inter & Co Stadium for the Purple Team. But yes, when Miami comes to town, Messi and friends, Inter Miami at Inter & Co. It's a story that writes itself.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my God. Let's see. Brandon Vasquez is official. That is officially official. 7.5 plus another $1 million plus possible add-ons, and he goes to Liga MX. So Cincinnati seems to be doing a good deal of business, and so we'll see what happens with Cincinnati doing all the business and trying to figure out what to do now to replace guys like Brandon Vasquez and Brenner.
Yeah, it's hard. Anyone can get to the top of the mountain.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very, very few can stay there.
Yeah.
And it is hard whenever even for a title winning team, it's hard to keep that group together because you have some who say, oh, well, I feel that sense of accomplishment. We won, we reached the top. I need to explore. I need to spread my wings and fly. And you could sit there and say, okay, all right, that's justifiable, right? Mm-hmm. Like Tata Martino said, okay, look, I won, with Atlanta United. We got the title. I feel like I have sort of, got that sort of redemption that I was looking for personally. I'm moving to the next phase of my career. Yep. National team. Mm-hmm. Okay, off he goes. In Atlanta, we hated it, but it was kind of like, all right, we understand. It is harder when you come up short in that title run to watch players say, okay, it's time for me to move. I got to go spread my wings. It's like, wait a minute, we were so close. Mm-hmm. We could get there just one more year. Nope, I got to go. And so it's got to be really, really hard for Cincinnati, for the team, for the fan base to watch these players go, because even as you add a Miles Robinson, that's fine to shore up that back line, and it needed it. However, to lose Vasquez is when you feel like, hey, we were improving. Like, what the hell, man? Like, the timing is just terrible. Mm-hmm. Not everyone, there's no agreed upon timeline or rhythm to the process. Everyone is moving to their own beat, their own drum, and occasionally it comes together in a concert. But by and large, no.
All right. So it is that time.
Let's do it.
It is Thursday.
Let's go.
So that means one thing. It is time for going to the West Coast and finding out which cup of coffee that this man is on.
The West Side Connection.
Niko Moreno. It is Nick. It is John. It is Niko on a Thursday. Good morning, my friend.
Hey, good morning. Apologize for the delay. I was working the phones. I love how things just blow up right before I get on.
Are you at liberty to share, sir?
Well, yeah, a couple. Some of them I've already been, out there. I've been hoping to just break something myself here, but the Miguel Borja thing is something that was sounding as an Austin possibility since yesterday, actually, and this morning it kind of came to fruition. It sounds like there is an official offer from Austin FC to River for Miguel Borja, striker, 30 years old, double-digit guy, just about every year, strong. has had some ups and downs. But what my source tells me is that yes, there is an offer. Herman, I forget his last name. I apologize. He's the one who said the initial reports.
Oh, Herman Garcia Grova.
Yes, 3.5 million for 80% of the players' sell-off rights. But what I was told from my sources that his circle and Miguel Borja himself sees MLS in good eyes, in good light, that it would be a good move for him. He's actually thought about it in the past when he was in Palmeiras. So definitely something that's kind of for us to take a look at. I don't know if I would pay more than 4 million because it sounds like River's not happy with the initial offer. So that might be a deal breaker for a 30-year-old that, like I said, I mean, he's not outstanding every year. So that's one to look at. And then one that just kind of came across right now that I was going at it before I got on. I was like, man, I got to get on John's show. But someone just put out that Fluminense has an offer to Seattle for Leo Chu for 5 million. Now that price tag seems a bit high, hard for me to believe, but I was trying to, see if they had any legs, that rumor. But again, I don't really see it. Fluminense paying 5 million for Leo Chu seems extremely high, seems a bit odd. But there has been at least reports of interest for Leo Chu. Bahia and other teams have at least apparently done some inquiries, as they call it. But yeah, the $5 million bid, I'm not sure if I buy it. If this is true and there is a $5 million bid, I mean, Seattle's got to take it. I mean, that's a great deal for a player of his caliber. Their initial investment would be profitable for at least $1.5 million or something like that. So it's one to have an eye on. Not sure if I buy it. But yeah, that's kind of what I was doing prior to getting on your show, John.
Nothing wrong with that, brother. Nick Alifi, first question for Niko on a Thursday.
All right. So with this, the start of training camps and whatnot right around the corner, what are some things that from the West Coast perspective that have already caught your attention as far as it can be player movement, it can be teams trending up, teams trending down? What are some things that really have your attention right as we are getting started with the new season?
Well, to not talk about what we already discussed with John in Colorado, I'd say Portland is interesting. Getting Kamal Miller, getting rid of Jimmy Chara to Junior. There definitely is a full change with the Neville era coming into fruition. That is a team that seemed to have some consistency, a core group. Not sure how that looks today. Miguel Araujo's still there. Diego Chara clearly is a team that is still in discussions with Sebastian Blanco. At one point, it seemed like there was no way he was coming back, that it was done and over with, the player was going to move on. But as of late, it sounds like there are talks, negotiations with Sebastian Blanco, and there is a possibility that he can come back. So there's a lot going on there. New coach, new players coming in. I think the philosophy is going to change. The model of play is going to be different. I'm not sure how much Diego Chara has in the tank. I mean, I'm not going to put his professionalism and his physicality and conditioning in any sort of predicament here, because he's been outstanding his whole career. But Father Time is undefeated, and I'm wondering how much more he has there. So I don't really see a full replacement there for Diego Chara. I mean, not like for likes. So that one's interesting just because there's so much question marks for a team and a fan base that has high expectations every year. And it doesn't matter what's going on or what the deal is. They always have high expectations. So that's an interesting one. I feel like LA Galaxy getting Gabriel Peck is supposed to be finalized. That'll be a good move for them. they have a lot of holes to deal with.
Brother.
So when I look at things, when it comes to the LA Galaxy, is Greg Vanney's last year to prove he can do something with this roster. Which of those guys that were injured last season are going to be able to come in and win their spot back? I expect at least one more big move from the LA Galaxy. Can Ricky Push be that guy that is going to kind of build from what he did last season with that team? And now he is the face. Now he is the everything for this squad. So that's another interesting one. And I think Seattle is coming into a big year, right? Craig and company are doing their best to, I think, get a lot of talent, but I also see them very happy with what they have, and that makes me not uncomfortable, but it makes me kind of think that perhaps they're not in such a rush to go and get, let's say, another huge designated player, whether it's in the summer window or not. Obviously, Pedro de la Vega, U22 player, is going to come in. But beyond that, I don't know if they're in a huge rush to do a lot of moves, right? So I think they want to play out what they have with this current group. The Pedro de la Vega situation makes me concerned within its own. The player he suffered a muscular injury that had him removed from the U23 Argentinian camp. That was his second muscular injury in the last month or so, is what I was told. He was already coming back from one. So it's concerning when you're paying $6 to $7 million for a U22 player that is supposed to come and kind of be your new star, and he has some injury problems. There are some concerns about how consistent he can be. I've been talking to a whole lot of Lanús media members, and some have a really high praising assessment of Pedro. Some others just think that he might not have that X factor to put a team on his shoulders, to be a star in a team. So it's going to be interesting how that plays out for a Sounders team that I think once more, I think that they got far and they thought they could get even farther last season. And they're hoping that guys like Albert Rusnak and Raul Ruiz and some of those guys that maybe were not as stellar as they usually are can pick that level of eliteness up. But that's another one that's interesting here in the West.
One team that you haven't talked about is LAFC. And we have, if you believe Insta or the IG or the Gram or whatever the kids are calling it these days, plus reports out of L'Equipe in France, Denis Bouanga wants OUT out. And there's also the wild-ish rumor, and I mean wild-ish, not wildish, meaning that it's kind of wild, but the wild-ish rumor about Karim Benzema not being happy about playing in the league that he's currently playing in, that we don't name or endorse or talk about when it's on television, and that he wants out after winning the battle with Nuno Espirito Santo about style of play. So Denis Bouanga wants out now. He wants to get paid. He wants to go to Europe. And the weird, wild stuff about the next wild pick that Thorington possibly could bring in. Are you hearing anything about LAFC and Denis Bouanga? And even if you're not, what do you think about Bouanga wanting to jet?
I don't have any insight on the story other than what I've been reading and doing my research on. And it has been surprising how vocal he's been to get out. Maybe he's trying to maximize his value after a fantastic season. Definitely the best year of his career in general senses, what he's been able to do in all competitions with LAFC. Does he really want a new challenge and a new place, or is he looking for that very big price tag? I think that's what it is. Just one more big check and kind of maximize your value. Don't know if there is a team that's going to go out there and pay as much as he's expecting to get paid. It might sound dismissive, but I think that there is a lot of teams in Europe that don't think highly of MLS, and maybe his productivity could be, not be as high praised as he thinks he might be. In my opinion, I think he should stay. He continue to build in LA. This is a growing league. There's so much going on internationally here. He's getting paid well. He could get paid more money with LAFC if he'd like. So that's just kind of my 2 cents on the matter. In terms of Karim Benzema, after the Lloris move, it's hard for me to just say, hell no, it's not going to happen. I mean, it seems like nothing is out of the reach of LAFC because of everything that they've been able to do, and having an ambassador like Cellini and everything that they've been able to do lately. It seems like Thornton just has guys on speed dial and can get whoever he wants. So can it happen? Sure. I don't think it's out of the question that maybe it happens. Regardless of how much Karim Benzema is making, we've seen and scratched our heads 1,000 times on how guys can just come in and pay for X amount here, and we don't know if they are, if they're maybe not. But I think the Karim Benzema move could happen. Would it be keeping up with the Jonesons with Inter Miami and Luis Suarez coming in? Perhaps. I don't know if that is something that LAFC's in the mood for or in the module for, because it'd be funny that you bring Karim Benzema when you got rid of Chicho because Chicho wouldn't press enough, wouldn't move enough, wouldn't do this and the other because Cherundolo has a specific style of play. And now you're going to bring Karim Benzema that I don't know how much pressing he's going to do with LAFC. So does it really make sense for the module of play? Perhaps not, but would it be a big boom in the marketing, global marketing level? Yeah, without a doubt.
Nick, go for it.
Sorry, the computer's acting up there. All right, so let's staying in the greater LA area. Ricky Puig is somebody who, you mentioned a moment ago, but the question I have is, how long do you think he's going to be staying with the Galaxy? He's got talent to play elsewhere. I don't think he really wants to, but with so many issues on that Galaxy team, I could see another team in MLS reaching out to the Galaxy and being like, look, you need cash, you need assets to be able to, some contract freedom here. Why don't we help you out and just get this guy out of here? Do you think that's even a move that Ricky Puig would want to do, or do you think he's just comfortable being the guy on a bad team?
I think that he wouldn't have come if he didn't believe in at least the project, the vision by the LA Galaxy, regardless of how bad they are. I think being the guy across the street from the big bad wolf of LA Galaxy, of LAFC, is certainly a factor that can, push you, inspire you to be better. I don't know if there's a team that would go out there and put a big load of money to try to get Ricky from LA Galaxy, because I feel like their price tag would be very high. I think they would upsell him without a doubt, and I would doubt LA Galaxy would do it. How much more would it take for them to go get the right guy, make sure that he does play? I mean, he has already been proven on the field. He's been proven in the locker room. He's been proven with Greg Vanney. So I wouldn't expect to move unless there's a wrecking ball and you get rid of Vanney and you need to just do a full rebuild, then maybe that would be the case. But as long as Rick Vanney's there and the project's still the same and the vision continues to be ongoing, I don't think that anybody would come in and give LA Galaxy enough for them to let him go.
Is there anyone out there that concerns you, not because of what they've done in bringing folks in, but because they haven't done anything in the in the gap time since MLS season 23 ended, is there anybody that concerns you because they haven't done anything yet so far? Because they're standing pat with who they have, is there anyone you're sitting there and scratching your head going, bruh, you really need to kind of get to moving here because camp opens up this weekend?
Yeah, I think San Jose. It looked like they've tried to make moves and just they haven't been able to do it. They were in the Nicolas Sodero sweepstakes. They did not get it. Today there was a report that they went for Alexis Vega and they were unable to make it happen. Traujo is gone. There's just a lot of departures. Montero's gone, and they haven't been able to bring anybody in. Lucho Gonzalez is one hell of a coach, but I don't know if he has enough pieces right now for me to feel comfortable with that team. Kate Cowell moving to Chivas, fantastic move, right? Something that is unprecedented to a certain extent because of the way that it was done. But Kate Cowell was a player that gave you something absolutely different, whether it was off the bench, whether it was as a starter. He had all this potential. Now you lost that, and you haven't been able to bring anything in. So I think San Jose would be a team that I'm concerned for their lack of urgency. To one, replace players, and two, just load up. Because regardless of how decent they were last season, and there were times where they did look good, they seem to be needing more talent there, and they just haven't been able to do that.
Nick, go for it.
Yeah. So here's a question to the floor, and our guy Niall brings this up. Minnesota.
Oh,
Minnesota.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, no, I think Minnesota's another team that, unfortunately, I hate to say it like this, but it seems like management in general is just okay and complacent with being a mid-table team, if you will, or that as long as we are somewhat competitive, it's gonna be okay. But I agree, that's another team that it's been radio silence down there, and you would think that with everything that happened last season, and with now Reynoso at least being able to start off the year with your team, and you might want to maximize that. You'd go out there and get another 9, get maybe another winger, and make this team more goal dangerous. But that's just not the case. Fragapane was kind of put on the fridge for the majority of the season. Is that going to change now without Adrian Heath? Perhaps. So are they betting on that? I'm not sure. That's another team that you're absolutely right. It is concerning, but perhaps the level of certain players maybe give you a little bit of a higher floor. But at the end of the day, you're right. I think that this team is way too complacent, and maybe that's the reason why they have no urgency to get anything done.
Well, look, I have a solution for that.
Oh,
and I've pitched this before in back channel. What I think that the league needs to step in and reach out to the Wilfs and say, look, we will buy Orlando City from you, right? You take Minnesota United, where you already have a bulk of your businesses. You have the indoor stadium. You have everything, because playing outdoors in Minnesota in March, and let's be honest, March and April is not attractive to anyone else in the world but people in Minnesota, right? Yeah. So let the Wilfs have the Minnesota United. Let them take it and put it in their big, beautiful stadium where the Vikings play. And then you could find a buyer, I'm pretty sure, for Orlando City that would make sense with someone who has businesses down in the footprint.
And you could broker it with Inter and Co.
I mean, yeah, because the team's already a laughing stock as it is because of stupid things like Inter and Co. But I mean, it just, from the minute that this team, Minnesota, has come into the league, and they had the very unfair expectations of matching up with Atlanta United's ambition, openly coming out signing people from South America at a clip, going big on free agents, being competitive, blowing Minnesota's doors off, in the magical snow game.
Mm-hmm.
And Minnesota's just like, well, we're just going to kind of do it what we do, okay? We're just going to do it at our own speed. And they never got out of third gear. Mm-hmm. Like they never shook off. Like they had one run in the U.S. Open Cup, and that was it. Mm-hmm. And outside of that, it just...
I think Minnesota needs to look at the East Coast and the friends from FC Cincinnati and realize the difference that it can make when you make a big change at the top. And in 2 years, this team is completely different. Mm-hmm. Not only are they elite at the league level, but they are selling a guy like Brandon Vasquez to Monterrey. They are building and growing players. They are developing. They're getting a guy like Miles Robinson. I mean, they're now a team where players want to go, where teams are looking for talent at, and they're elite within the league. So this was a 2-3 year turnaround. Why can't Minnesota do that? Because I do like that fan base. I have a lot of following from Minnesota that, they're there every day, every game. They're still hoping that things change, that they're now without Adrian Heath, maybe that lack of entertaining soccer goes away. So I think that what they really do need to do is just make a big change at the top and start from the very beginning and really change the philosophy there and make this team win now and do it just like FC Cincinnati.
All right, so what's going on at Pulso Sports on the Soccer Bar coming up at the top of the next hour? I know that you're a very, very busy man on Thursdays. What do folks need to know?
Yeah, well, Pulso Sports, we are looking for a couple of very interesting guests, some that would be a big deal for me to get them, but have not been able to confirm those. So just stay tuned. Can't say no names at the time because if they don't happen, then I look like poop. So hopefully I'm trying to get them, but both relevant to MLS. Stay with me on Twitter. I'm looking for a couple of targets of Nashville, which that's another team that's been concerning that you have heard nothing about. But it sounds like they are targeting a couple of South American players that are interesting. So keep an eye on that. And at Soccer Bar, we won't be back till next Monday. We had a little preseason meeting this week. We got a lot of things in the works, but we won't be back till next Monday.
All right, at Orolo and NW. And we always look forward to Thursdays with Niko when he drops by. What cup of coffee are you on, sir?
Number 2 today, man. I needed that. I'm going to number 3 after this.
All right, so he's finishing up number 2, and he's in the brown paper bag mug version this morning. Niko, as always, my friend, great to have you on Thursdays, and we'll catch up with you again next week. We'll talk coaches. We'll talk camps open. We'll talk concerns, all that other kind of stuff. Be safe and well, my friend. We'll catch up next week.
Thank you, John. Appreciate you guys. Have a good one.
All right.
Bye.
And that's Niko, and he's out the door. One story that I wanted to break down before we left. This is, once again, a multiple reporter story. And when you have multiple reporters on a story, it's kind of big. Triumvirate at the Athletic, they had a BMT. Bogert, Maurer, and Tenorio. Sporting Kansas City has hired former Timbers president of soccer Gavin Wilkinson as sporting director. Sources briefed on the deal tell the Athletic. Wilkinson was the longtime GM and president of soccer of both the Timbers and the Thorns, but was fired near the end of the 22 season following separate investigations into the organization's handling of player or coach misconduct. Peter Vermes remains at the top of the soccer ops hierarchy as chief soccer officer. Sources said Wilkinson will report to Vermes. An announcement is expected on Thursday. Going back to the Yates report, for those of you that forgot, one investigation implicating Wilkinson, and this is from the Athletic, and I would also recommend as a part of the recap, the requested reading of the day is the Ryan Clark piece from the Oregonian, and I've just posted that link for those on the Twitch pitch. One investigation implicating Wilkinson was commissioned by Sally Yates and the U.S. Soccer Federation, addressing misconduct throughout the NWSL, including the Thorns and Wilkinson's handling of head coach Paul Riley's 2015 dismissal from the organization and subsequent rehiring at the Western New York Flash. Yates' report found that Wilkinson recommended Riley to the Flash months after the head coach was fired by Portland for cause after an internal investigation found evidence of his misconduct with players. One second-hand account in the Yates report stated Wilkinson told a Western New York executive that Riley was, quote, put in a bad position by a player, end quote, who accused him of misconduct and said that he would hire the head coach, quote, in a heartbeat, end quote. Western New York went on to hire Riley in 2016, remained in the position until his firing in 2021 after a report by The Athletic found he'd sexually coerced Thorns players during his time at the club, an allegation Riley denied. Wilkinson was also implicated in the Timbers' failure to report domestic violence allegations against Andy Polo in 2021. A league investigation run by Proskauer Rose in 2022 ruled that while the Timbers failed to report the allegation, they did so out of incompetence, not out of a desire to cover it up. The team learned of the allegation just after the incident occurred in May of 2021 with Wilkinson in charge. Timbers exercised their option on Polo's contract in December of 21. Team released Polo after the allegations became public. After the league investigation, MLS fined the club $25,000 for failure to report. Sporting aimed to add to the club's front office this season. Interviewed around for the hire, sources familiar with those talks say Orlando City TD Ricardo Moreno and former Red Bull sporting director Dennis Hamlet were finalists along with Wilkinson. So if you've got The Athletic, Bogert, Maurer, and Tenorio, and I'll post that link in the Twitch pitch here before we go, but that just came across the wires literally about 12 minutes ago while we were in the middle of the segment with Niko. And so that was the breaking story before we go. And I'm posting the link once again to the Gavin Wilkinson hire by Sporting Kansas City, and I'm posting that in the required reading for the day, just to have background on Gavin Wilkinson, who looks like he is going to be part of the hierarchy at Sporting Kansas City starting in short order. So, Nick, your thoughts from the day. Thanks for hanging out for as long as you did. It was great to have you.
Yeah, glad to be here. Thoughts and prayers go up to Sven-Goran Eriksson,
Yes.
former England manager, who apparently
Absolutely.
has about a year to live as he battles cancer. Hope that situation changes for him. But outside of that, we're getting ready to go into the new season, new year, new you, new season. Let's figure out a way to actually enjoy things.
What?
If we can.
What?
I know. If we could figure out a way to enjoy things, it's not all, there are some things that are very much real life and death. Athletics performed by other people that you pay money to see should not be among them. So just think about this year, ways that you can actually enjoy your sporting activities and your sports viewing activities.
Yes, and Niall, of course, with the parting shot going, that's unrealistic. We can't have
completely unrealistic. I know. I'm a dreamland.
Yes, exactly. So we'll be back at it again 9:05 tomorrow morning to put a bow on the week, get you ready for the weekend. Pitchers and catchers report for Atlanta United on Saturday. Looks like first day of camp is on Monday. Do not have a preseason schedule yet, but we do know about the scrimmage in Birmingham on the 27th, and we will be announcing stuff, I think, as we get closer to the 27th as well. So we're trying to finalize some things. We'll be over there hanging out and having fun and watching at Birmingham Legion at Protective and Atlanta United. So it'll be a fun one on the 27th, waiting for a preseason schedule. And everybody's supposed to report for physicals on Saturday. Camp starts on Monday. So, Nick, if you would please, since you are here, please send us home for a Thursday.
Until next time, everyone, just remember that we love you very, very much. We're so grateful that you tune in and listen to us ramble abouts and whatnot. And until next time, everyone, please take care of yourselves and each other. Mucha, mucha, yo.
What he said. Back again, 9:05 tomorrow morning.